Alrighty, welcome back. 30-day scripting challenge. It's been so much longer than 30 days that it is now final season of the second semester of school. Have fun with AP exams, people, because I know a lot of people definitely do not have fun on the AP exams, specifically AP Biology FRQ number 2. Any AP Bio people, oh my goodness, what in the hell was that? Anyways, I haven't put an entry in for a long time regarding the 30-day challenge, but you might have noticed that I have put in 3 entries, and those 3 entries were commissions that I was doing for this guy for his game, a One Piece game from the looks of it. But those were some pretty good pieces of work that I was able to put on my portfolio now because of that commission that I was given the opportunity to do. Anyways, there's 2 entries left, and the last 2 are super damn easy. This one, if you couldn't tell, is a market type of system, meaning that we can have items go up in price or go down in price, and we can buy, sell them based on the market. So it's not going to be too difficult to code at all. It's more or less the logic that's going to be a bit interesting to code. But I have made the UI here, and because the frame itself here isn't really that bad, we just have the market stuff going on here. Inside of this, we have a scrolling frame, which is where each one of these items will have a little bar that you can click on to open up this, the amount that you can buy or sell, a buy button, open the item's image, amount available, the name, how much you own, and the price of the item at the current moment. So let's make this folder here. This will be called Market UI, and when I did make those entries for the commissions there, I actually did properly program in an SSA format, even though in here I kind of screwed that up, and I'm kind of just following with it just till the end of the series till the end of the 30 entries. But sometimes it's cool to try out terrible systems. Anyways, we want a module script that will handle the UI, and you'd usually make controllers and UI scripts. So this would simply handle the UI controller. So literally you just label this UI. And you'd have a module script that would act as the communication back and forth between the server and the client. And this would be called the market controller, like this. That's how you do it. And on our server, which in this case we could go to server script service here, we would have our thing here. We'd have a module script right here called the handler, and we would have a module script called the service. The handler simply bridges the gap between the client and the server, and the service is what executes all the code. So you're hardly going to see any services talking to the clients here. So let's kind of go through this in order. Oh, we also need to put in our shared things here. So I think it's time that we actually introduce a library into the code here. And a library is simply third-party code that you can use in your game. That's very helpful, speeds your process up, and somewhat really optimal, right? So we're going to be using the good old Packet right here. Packet is a networking module, and it is just amazing. So when we create Packet, we're going to need another folder, and this is going to be called Net. This is the networking folder where we keep all of our packets that we want to create. And in Net, you'll have a module script. This module script will be called the market packets right here. And in market packets, you simply just want to say packets, or so local packet is going to equal to, or just do this and call this packet. All right, I'll explain more about how packet works later, but it's very cool. It's like remote events, but they're a lot more optimized, and they're so much nicer to use because they save a lot of resources when you're using remote events, and they're a lot safer too. Anyways, now that everything's set up, we can... No, actually everything is not set up. We're going to want to make a module script to store the market data, which we can literally just put it inside of here. Actually, no, never mind. We can we can put it in replicated storage. So we're going to put a module script here, and this will be called market config. And in here, we're going to simply add in all of the items for our stock market. There's multiple ways you can do this. You can have it just return a table. You could have it put your data inside this table and return that, or you can return like this, where you say market config dot items is going to equal to this, where we now add in our items. So I will real quickly add some template items here. Okay, and we've got our basic setup. And there's a couple of self-explanatory things. We have our name and the image, which is more about the client because we want to update the UI. Default price, meaning what the price will be when everything is neutral. The available amount of gold in the environment, in the market, whatever. The current amount of gold that is available to be sold, and the factor. Now, the factor is a very important value here because this is going to determine how much the price will move up or down based on when the current goes up or down. So when the available is at 200 out of 200, that means that it is at 1, then the factor won't apply at all. But let's say it's at 10, then it's going to be 10 out of 200. Then the factor will apply. So we're going to pretty much like divide the available amount by the current amount. It's 200, 200, 1, it will apply. 200 over 10 is 20, then the factor will apply to the price, and the price of gold will go up. Same thing for all of it. The lower the factor means the lower value the actual resource is, and that's why copper here is the lowest thing. Now, that's the market configuration. We can leave this to the side, and the packets we'll get to in a second here. I'll talk about how we're going to actually use them here. But we can now get to the UI. So there's a lot of things that we need to talk about with the UI, but the most important one is the buy and sell, and also telling the client to update the UI. So buying and selling, we need to tell the server to update our players' inventory because they're updating their assets. And when something else is sold or bought on the other clients, we want this client to know that the item has gone up or down and the price has gone up. Price has gone down. Also, I'm using Peridot here because I don't have any other reference image. Okay, let's get to the UI part and start referencing all of the variables here that we want to use. Okay, now that the UI has been set up here, we can initialize everything. And essentially the initialization is connecting all of these listeners to the server. So all of that, we're going to need to access the config here and the packets. So we'll grab those here. And the first thing we want to do is make a packet to update the, oh wait, no, actually, sorry. We don't want to get the packets here. We want to get the packets on the controller end. Anyways, let's connect all the listeners that we need, which is simply buy and sell. Okay, now we have our connections done. We're going to go to the controller end and we're going to make some receiving functions. So we're going to pass in the item that is going to be either bought or sold, and the action, which is buying or selling. So from here, this is where we're actually going to grab the market packets, and I'll show you how we're going to make a packet, which is very simple. We're simply going to say market packets. The first one is going to be for the item action, and then we're going to give the value that we're going to do. So it's going to be two things. It's going to be a string, and it's going to be a number and a boolean. So we want to pass in a string, and this string is the name of the item, comma there. That is the name. Then we want a boolean, which is if we're buying or selling. And finally, we want the amount. So because we can't buy or sell a negative amount, we're going to go for a 32-bit or number 32. So we can have a large amount of assets. So you would go lower here if the maximum amount of items taken to hold is in the hundreds. Once that is done, we're going to wait, what am I doing? We're going to go here and we're going to do :response because the server is going to tell the client whether or not the action was successful or not. So we're going to send back a boolean if it actually was successful or not. And then we can also send back a string to show the error message, right? And that's how a typical packet would look like. And you can also condense this into one line if you want to. Anyways, that's the first packet, and we're going to use that from the controller here. So on our item action, also we want to put in a amount value here, which has to be a number, and we'll activate that later. But we should also going to grab the market handler script here. And I like to sort mine at the top there. Now with this, we can go tell the server to do our thing. So market packets, the item action, colon fire. We're going to pass in the item, the what's called the action, and the amount. And we'll say that this is the success. From here, we're going to determine if the success is good or not, right? So if success, then that means the thing went through. We're going to want to tell the client to update its UI, which we can go back to the UI part here. And when this is activated, we can simply just tell it. Oh wait, I got the wrong freaking one. It's market control. We can't even access. Did not need to do that. We can't even access the server scripts or stuff. Okay, anyways, we want to now do the item, right? But we need to know what item is selected. So we're going to make a variable here called the selected item and the amount. And then in this, obviously, we're going to check if selected item then, just like that. And we're going to copy the same if condition here. And we'll do the same thing, but we're going to, wait, what the hell did I just do? We're going to send it the selling signal here. Now that this is cool, we can make some local functions to actually update our UI accordingly. As well as that, actually, we can make a setup function here, which in this case is going to open up the items scrolling frame with everything inside market config. So we're going to loop through underscore item in market config.items. And then through this, we're simply just going to clone a text button, put it inside of the scrolling frame, set its name to this, and that's it. So when we load an item, we're just going to pull it directly from here. Say local item button is equal to instance.new text button. Say item button.name is going to equal to item.name, like this here. Make sure it's case sensitive there. And so the parent to be the item's scroll frame here. And that's it. We can connect the listener, actually. We can connect that right here. We'll connect that listener here where it's being created. And when this button's active, we're gonna make a function to load the panel. So say local function load panel, and in this load panel, we simply want the item to load, which is a string, because we're gonna pass in the name and we're going to access that from the config. So we can now update the UI accordingly here. And also, we want to get the player's data too. So we're going to want to communicate from the server here to actually acquire the data, which in this case, we'll go to the packets and we'll make another packet. So we'll say market packets dot request data to equal to a packet. Then we'll simply say request data. And we're not going to send anything. So we're just going to put dot colon response after that, which will give us, actually, as a matter of fact, we have two pieces of data. We have the what's left right now and the amount the player has. Or actually, it's probably better if all three of these are sent to the player instead. So yeah, actually, we will say that we want so the response is definitely going to be varied. So this one will be the request. So when we do this request current total, we're not going to pass in any values here, but we're going to return two things. We're going to return the current and the total. That's that. Then there's the amount the player owes, or not owes, the price and the amount the player owns. Request price, and also make sure that this is matching here. We'll do colon response. In this case, it's going to send in a request to get the price. It's going to return the price back. And lastly, we want the amount the player owns. Like that. Now, sorry, a bit over exaggerating it there. We can go to our market controller, and then we're going to make a function to request And toRequest is going to be a string. So if toRequest is equal to current total, then we're going to say :fire. Else if toRequest is equal to owned, then we'll say packets.request : fire. And lastly, the price, just like that. Then else we can put a print statement there to catch everything that is not valid. Now, once we have our current total, our owned, the price, we can simply return this, or you could put a variable at the top here and set each one of those to that. So actually, we'll probably do that. That'd be better. Let's go on ahead and do that. Then we can return the response here. Now, we need to request the current total, and then the response is going to be a couple of things here. It could either be the, whatever, I'm like so half into this right now. It's kind of crazy. And then I realized that we actually need to pass in the item. We want to pass in the item that we want to get the data for. For some reason, that didn't come to my mind. I don't know why, but we're going to, not that, we want to say no packet.string. There we go. So now we're going to send the item over to the server. Okay, pass in the items to load here. And we have the data needed to update the UI. So first things first, it should be like this actually, because it's going to return 2 items. There we go. And it's going to send back it's going to return us these 2 things here. Now we can actually go ahead and update the UI here. So this UI is the available amount. So we're going to say it's going to equal to the current total, just like that. And then we're going to get the owned. Hold on. Put that in there, and then the price, which we'll put right there, just like that. And our items have been updated in the load panel function, which is what we will call every time thing is made. So we'll make a server to client thing. So we'll say market packets dot update panel is going to equal to packet, and then we put in update panel here. And we're going to send in the panel to update, which is going to be a string. That's it. We don't really need a response back from the client because it doesn't really matter. Cool. Now we can call the load panel here, and we can say item button dot name because that's what we're going to be passing in here. Okay, buy button unactivated and sell button unactivated. Also, we need to connect the text box dot change. So action amount dot is lost, going to connect function, and we're going to use the enter pressed thing here. We can say if enter pressed, then we'll set the amount equal to the to number action amount dot text. We'll do that here. And then also when we load this panel, we're going to set the selected item equal to the item button dot name here. Now when we do this, we need the item here, which is the selected item, and the action, which in this case is going to be buy, and then the amount, which is the amount right here. We do the same thing, but in this case, sell, for the sell button. That's pretty much it. And also when we load the item, we can also set the image. So item image dot image is going to equal to git config item to load dot image, just like that. And the name, actually, the name of the item. So the name label dot text is going to equal to item to load, which is a string. And that should be pretty much what we have for the client. Also, we can go look at our market packets here, and then we can say update panel on client event and connect function panel, which is a string. We can say we can make a thing here, this little backwards function, I guess you. I don't know what the official name for this is, but it would be something like this. Wait, actually, no, it's like this. Hold on, I'm trying to freaking remember what it was. I just don't remember. Okay, actually, give me a second. I have to remember what it was, but there's a method you can do, and I completely forgot what it was. Okay, I got it. You'd set this equal to null, and then if you wanted to, you could have it. You'd put your things, your type checking if you want to do that. But we're not really doing that. That's what the double things are for. They're like the man, I'm not like remembering stuff, honestly. But we can then say and pass the panel in back on our UI in our init, we could say a market controller dot update panel is equal to function, where here we then call load panel just like that, and it should do that. And the reason why we can't call it directly from here is because if this module is requiring this module, then this one right here cannot require the UI, because it creates this thing called a cyclic module dependency that low-key kind of sucks, but that's how computer science is. So you have to use callbacks and stuff like that in order for the thing to communicate back to the script that's requiring it. And I think we can do this. I'm pretty sure that's, or wait, no, it's, I don't remember how to do it. Type annotation is a bit funny, and I haven't messed with it in a while. I think that's how you do it. I don't remember, honestly. I'm just gonna check it later and see. Okay, yeah, it takes a string and doesn't return anything. So that's how you do it. All right, now that that part is working and the server can now tell what kinds to update, now we got to communicate to the server. So this is the thing, if the action thing, right, if we actually no wait, we can start talking to the server right now. So let's go on ahead and head over to the market handler here, hit market packets, and then we can say market packets dot item action dot on server invoke is equal to function, because this is, we're returning success here, right? So by default we want to return false, but then we actually go through the zero. So what we're doing is we're sending in this here. Let me copy that. Where's my market handler? Here it is. Wait, that was like the stupidest thing that I've ever done. What in the hell? So the item is a string action, it's a boolean, amount is number, and this returns. Cool. So now we check if action, then that means if we are buying. So this case here is buying, right? If we're buying, then we want to deduct from the player's currency here. So as a matter of fact, we need to wrap this in an init function. We need to put this in an initialization, so that way we can, oh my goodness. Okay, whatever. I'm going to try to focus a bit more. I'm going off into space with my mind. When the player's added, we want to create temporary data, not hard-coded data, because I don't feel like going to Pro Store right now. So market handler, I didn't even get the freaking player value, bro. Market handler player is going to equal to this thing where we have the currency and we have the items. So currency is going to equal to 1,000 imaginary currency, not connected to the actual thing here. And the assets equal to a table. That's that. All right, we put the items inside the assets. We now need to go over to the service, the market service, which is handling all of the game logic, and we're going to want to make the buying behavior. So we're going to need the market config, and then we're also going to need the market handler right here. And we'll now make a function that the market handler can call, which is to purchase items. So wait, I need to put the function. And then speaking of player, actually, this is passing in the player by defaults here. So we are going to say, I did not reference market service. Cool. I don't know why I didn't do that. Get that going. And I forgot cyclic module dependency. Okay, we are going to do this a different method then. We're going to do this thing on the assistant. We're going to do this thing in the in market service here. So we'll use a function dot start here, and we'll put that in at the start of this, and in here we'll say market service dot start. Now here we can go say market service dot purchase, pass that player in, item amount, and then we can make a function for selling. And there's the logic is happening right here, so we can simply just put a return right here, and put a return right there. All right, for the purchasing logic, all we're gonna do is we're gonna look at market config for the item and see if the player can buy enough of it. If amount is less than or equal to market config item dot is available. First, we need to make sure that item actually exists. Okay, cool. Now we have that going. Then we're going to deduct that money from the player. Oh yeah, and the currency is greater than or equal to the cost of the item. Actually, we'll have to do that on a different line. So the cost is this right here. Wait, why is the freaking thing set as a string? What? And also, this doesn't have to be default price. This is just be price. So item.price, we want to make sure that the total is equal to the price times amount. And we're going to check if the total is, actually, if the market service item, market service player dot currency is greater than or equal to total, then we'll deduct it first right here and then add it to the assets equals amount. Yeah, basically like that. And then we can return true just like that and return false for the rest of that there. And that's all we want to do is we want to give them the item and deduct it. And then also we want to create a raise price item to alter the price. So we're simply just going to multiply the price by the total and available. Total divided by the available dot available. And then we can say market I dot price times equals multiplier. And that is the alter price function. Okay, so I got this cleaned up and fixed the pathing here for the market config. I was using the wrong one. So we have our purchase and we have our sell, and that will work with that essentially. And that's it. We're basically done. Wait, except though we need to make the open button work. This thing right here. All right, now we can simply just make the init, and we can also put that up here in our server. Oh, why did I freaking do that? Oh my god. Like that. Everything here should be good to go, and never mind. Nope, everything is not here. Good to go. Okay. Oh yeah, also I took out the error message thing because I don't want to do that. Wait, where's the freaking market button? I didn't realize it's not here. That's right, I didn't change the text. Alright, so never mind. I'm trying to give it time to load the UI, but I guess it's not. Oh, action amount, not account amount. What? Okay, cool. So we can go on ahead and open this now, but I forgot the procedural generation thing is here. Pretty gigantic thing here. Okay, it looks like that's not loading for some reason. Okay, I found the issue. I wasn't freaking setting the text to the thing. So that's why that's why it wasn't appearing here. Well, never mind. I guess not. I guess it just it's probably like a really easy reason why it's not working, but I'm just stupid. It's not visible because I forgot to make it visible. Oh my. Whew, there we go. There we go. Iron. Okay, and that's not working either. Am I missing something here? And you know what? I realized that I didn't even freaking make the on server events for these. I didn't even do it at all. Like, I didn't wire these at all. Oh my god. Okay, there we go. Now let's give it a try. Nope, it's still not doing anything. Okay, cool. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Okay, now it works. I was having issues with packet, that's why. Okay, I think I put the wrong image IDs in for some reason. I think I don't exactly remember if I did or not. Simply, I wired it and then I forgot to use the proper syntax, which is on server invoke, and then also dot activated doesn't work because I'm putting them all under one GUI, which don't do that if your entire game's UI lives under that. It's literally not going to do well for you. So I'm using mouse button one click. I don't know why they're not loading. The fix that I used last time was I just went into the player GUI and I went to where is it? Right here, and I copied this right here. Or actually what I did was I just deleted this. I deleted, then I went to the player GUI and it gives the actual image now. Wait, that's the text button. I'm looking for the what am I doing? Oh my gosh. There, cool. Okay. And then I'd go here and this is iron. Was it? Iron? Yes. So I'd do that. Copper, do the same thing. Where's copper? Up here's copper. Plop that in. Gold, do the same thing for gold. And we'll put that in right there. and it should save it. I have that setting turned on right there. All right, and that'll fix the images there, and that's it. That should be, yeah, there we go, it's fixed. So yeah, that should be it. We can now say buy 100 here. I don't think I have enough actually. That's right. Let's buy 10. Actually, we can just buy one. Cool. And also, we need to floor that value, by the way. What in the heck was that noise? We need to floor in our alter price here. We're just going to say we'll use round like that, and then I guess on the service here, what we did the check, we can turn insert on, turn that off, please. We can simply say print not enough money, and you can tell the client not enough. Use like an error module or whatever. Not enough money. We'll use one actually. So now, if I want to buy 500, not enough money, not enough money. And for the sell thing, we can just say not enough shares or whatever. There we go, and then we can. Okay, so I can now go to the market service and set the default player data to like this much here, and you can actually test out the actual thing. So gold, let's say I buy 10. Yeah, I actually cannot buy 10 pieces of gold. I can buy one piece of gold because that's all I can get. And now gold's gone up to $2,513. No, that's not how it's supposed to work. It's supposed to work the other way around. What the hell? Why are we multiplying it by? Oh, wait, that's right. Cause I'm stupid. I set the multiplier to 5. Alright, so we're gonna change this to 0.08, 0.03, and 0.01. So then buying a piece of gold should, no, make it go up. Its factor should be 1, 1, and 1. There we go. There we go. So gold's going up. No, actually, it should have a variable called default price. Okay, this is a better algorithm. Let's now, boom, boom, boom. Look at it, look at it. It's going up, guys. Gold is going up. Dude, the price of gold is going up. But now I can sell it, and the price of gold goes back down. Yeah, that's it. That's pretty cool. The price of copper, though. Yeah, it takes a while for copper's price to go up. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, I'm done with this. That's day 29 finished. One more entry after this, and it's essentially done. Like no more 30-day scripting challenge. It's gonna be over. I need a thumbnail, by the way, so I'm just gonna get a thumbnail real quickly. Cool, I got thumbnail. The system works, and this is actual more proper way on how you use an SSA architecture, because I was not using it properly at all at the start, and now I've actually self-developed as I've gone through this a more proper way of using an SSA architecture. But that's it. We're finished. You can watch the procedural generation as I contemplate my life's choices. I genuinely thought I would finish this in 30 days, but it's 30 months, more like 30 weeks. Wait, it would be funny if I finish it on the exact 30th week. Oh, and I remember making the Teslas from Clash Royale with the Tesla class. I remember doing that. That was pretty cool. I remember doing it. And the guard and the gun though was definitely a pretty big failure. I know that one for sure. This one was a humongous failure because it did not work properly. All right, yeah, that's it. I'm done. Out of here. Yeah.